Welcome everyone to another episode of the Flirting Basement Dweller. Just going to make this a short one, I think, depending on what I tend to think of and what have you. I might think of something else that I want to speak about. Been a lot of things going on. Of course, the past 2 weeks, and supposedly they'll probably, from what the word on the street is, there'll be a lot of stuff maybe happening around, say, 4th of November. But I will say, and I strongly recommend that these people that may have something planned, for whatever reason, whatever they think they're supporting or trying to accomplish, come sometime around the beginning of November, I think I would give it some deep thought and try to come up with some other type of remedy to affect the changes that you want to make, rather than just thoughtless violence and property destruction, because it's not going to end well with people that are thinking about if they actually follow through with it, doing this stuff. Now, we've seen, of course, Sunday before last actually, there was a tragic event. And we've seen, if you have kept up with it, and you probably have since you're watching a YouTube video rather than watching some network channel, with fake news, okay? And also, we've just here in the past week or so, there's been some revelations come about of a certain person, one of the Hollywood bigwigs. And by the way, he's probably in Europe somewhere, and he may be jumping to Europe, and he may just decide to skirt on over to some place in the Mideast to maybe get away from it all, But anyway, that being said, I was watching, and I normally don't watch TV, but when I'm working with someone and they turn the television on, I'm not going to impose what I want on them, and even if I wanted to, since they are my boss, I probably really don't have any control whether or not they turn the television on or what they watch or what have you. But anyway, they normally watch this particular network. And anyway, the show was on there, and first of all, watching the network, the news on this network, and it's the same with any of the networks. They are not accurate at all. They do not disperse I wouldn't call it truth, okay? I would call it deception. I would call it propaganda. I would call it the marketing of an agenda or whatever. But I know from the research that I've done that a lot of what they're saying, they just barely skim the surface of a subject, for the most part, unless they're really, let's say, the higher ups, the board members or the executives of the network, or, I would imagine it would take an influence of power like that to be able to manipulate to get the messages that they want to get out to the public, to get them out. Now we have to remember the major networks, and just about any media that you read, that you hear, that you watch, they're owned by basically about, their parent corporations that own them. There's only 6 of them. So if you have 6 friends and you all have the same interest and the same goals, or pretty close to having the same goals and the same beliefs and all that kind of stuff, wouldn't you say if each of you had a business, a small business in a town, and they were in different locations or whatever, but you say the 6 of y'all got together and y'all are good friends and everything, or not necessarily good friends, but you associate together. You kind of get together and have a meeting of the minds per se, and you would like to. Let's just use this as an example. Say you get together and say, "Oh yeah, the price of this or this so and so." Nationally it's kind of low, but hey, I bet we could get together and cooperate with each other, and we all, work together and come up with some kind of, let's call it a scheme, and we'll all raise our prices up, and so, we'll all end up making more money, because it won't be that somebody comes into our place of business and says, "Oh, well, that's too much. So-and-so down the, wherever they are, they've got it for this much cheaper," or whatever. But if you're all within the, 10, 20 cents, $1, whatever, as an example, then regardless, people are going to pay those prices, okay? And that's kind of working against, working against the ethics, and there's a little bit of morality involved in that. And as we know, and as I've pointed out in several videos, that as we put more of our focus and put more of our energy into our medium of exchange for services and products, as that goes higher and higher and higher and higher, we are actually devaluing ourselves and everyone else as well. Now, there was some news, the stock market's doing great, supposedly. It's going up and up and up and up, and then we're hearing about tax cuts or whatever. But I'm looking at it, and these things I think would be okay, but we're missing something here. We're missing the importance of ourselves. We're missing the true value of ourselves and other people. As we put higher prices on things, then we tend to put a lower value on ourselves and people. If you think about it, and not just a passing 5-second, no, I'm talking about if you actually spend the time to really think about it, and the thing is, people just don't understand themselves, much less understand the people outside of them, they're people they associate with. And that's where the problem is. But if you watch the television and most any other of this entertainment, or let's call it entrainment, they're not focusing, or they're not spending hardly any time or effort or money or what have you on trying to shift people's consciousness. Now, and people are going to say, "Oh, I can't do that. Oh, no. Oh, well, they can spend plenty of time, money, and effort shifting your conscious to buy a product, advertising and product placement in shows and movies, and even the newscasting, the way that things are reported, what they do report, what they don't report, what they say, what they don't say. It's just a total mind manipulation. If you think about it. Now, some people are happy with that. Hey, go ahead and be happy with that. See how happy your life will be, or the level of your life satisfaction. See if that gets higher, or it stays the same, or it gets lower. Okay. For the most part, as people grow old, get older, they're probably going to be less happy or less satisfied with their lives than they were when they were younger. When you're younger, you have more energy to do things. People don't necessarily think very far ahead, but so what I'm getting at is the value that we put on ourselves and the value that we put on other people, which we know, as I've already said, there can't be these values. We're invaluable, okay? And but we don't approach life that way. We approach life with a materialist mindset. You got the money, you can buy things. The more money you have, the more things you can buy, or the better things you can buy. But it takes money. And what I was saying, what I was getting ready to say about the economy and stuff like that, and taxes and all, these numbers keep raising and raising and raising. But these numbers, more and more higher quantity numbers of whatever it might be, is not transferring, or not transferring, but is not, I'll just say transferring. I can't think of the word right now. But the higher and higher quantity of numbers of things, whether it be money, or the amount of money, or the stocks, or taxes, or whatever, they keep going up and up and up, which in turn, everyone has to have, make more quantity numbers, to keep whatever that level of their existence is. That doesn't make sense to me. Now, I may be looking at it totally ass backwards. I don't know. But I don't see how the raising of these quantities of numbers actually improve the quality of life. Okay? And that's why I think, and I've read for a few years now, and I've read that what's may possibly be on the very close horizon is, and Trump said, the quiet before the storm. And say, oh, what is it? What is it? What is it? Oh, well, you'll find out. I think that's going to have something to do, or at least I would hope, that it's going to have something to do with the condition of the morality that our America, our country, the storm is going to have something to do with the morality of our situation. I think that it will also have something to do with our economic system. What exactly might it be? I'm not exactly sure. I don't think there's anyone but the people, close to the president or, within his cabinet or whoever would be privy to any of that. But there is speculation. And I honestly feel that we may be very close to a turning point. Now, is that going to be a turning point in a pickup of speed, an acceleration to a place that an environment that we don't, that we would be less satisfied with? Or is that going to be a change in direction towards something that people will be more satisfied with? Now, you can't please everybody all the time. That's a fact. But as long as we stay in this mindset of this materialistic, this sensual pleasures and got to have more and more and more and more, money or whatever, to acquire more and more of this, to acquire more and more of that, rather than, just kind of chill out a little bit and give it some thought and say, hey, well, this isn't leading us anywhere but to the bottom of the barrel and fast. Okay? That's all I'm saying. These increases of these quantities of numbers, I don't see that necessarily, I can't think of the word, but transforming into more and better, more satisfaction with the quality of our existence. And so that some of these changes that I'm thinking that may be coming along, with this, directional change that I think feel pretty certain that's going to happen here pretty soon. We'll see, but the prices of things have been manipulated for forever. But really, it's getting to the point where I think a lot of y'all will probably remember. A dollar was let's say Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe. It took a million, whatever their currency is, a million, what have you, to buy a loaf of bread. I mean, that's ridiculous. Why put $1 million or a number, a quantity of 1 million of anything for a loaf of bread? If it's 1 million, well, reduce it down, say it's $1. Or comparable to $1, or it's a dime even, or what have you. The jobs, they're saying, oh, it's the lowest job, unemployment and whatever. Well, I think a lot of that is that there's a lot of people that aren't drawing unemployment, and they just like, whatever, I can't find a job, so they're making ends meet however the best way they can, without being employed is steadily employed, either part-time or full-time job. And that was another thing. People get a part-time job, or 2 part-time jobs, or 3 part-time jobs, working themselves to death. For what? To only the economy, everything pick up, and the prices go up, because the stock market's going up, everybody's making money, so everybody puts higher prices on everything, and it's called inflation, which is actually a hidden tax if you honestly research it. Inflation is a hidden tax. But anyway, and I think that our president is trying to do his best to help us all out. I know there's a lot of people that just absolutely do not agree with anything that he does. There are a lot of people that absolutely agree with everything he does. I think he's trying to do what's probably the best for the country as a whole. And which brings me to another subject. I read something about, it was the Dalai Lama, and he made a comment, he made comments on the Mandalay Bay incident. And he was saying, hey, a lot of it is that the world, we're not, there's no focus, there's no attention, there's no, people are more materialistic, and they're looking at, their sensual pleasures and things, rather than, or really ignoring or disregarding our inner, what we have inside of us, our spirituality, or whatever you want to call it. I think if whatever religion, if you're not religious or what have you, even if you're atheist or agnostic or whatever, I'm sure there's something that anybody, everybody would think about as far as something being greater than themselves, okay? And a comment that he made within this little write-up about him commenting on the Mandalay incident was that, and this is just say for religious people or people that believe in a God or a creator or a source, whatever. And he was saying, everybody's praying, to God, please help us, please, do something or whatever. And I think he's absolutely right in correct in what he said, was that, hey, we as in human beings, we have created this environment. We have created this situation, whether it be from inaction or just not wanting to get involved in anything or support anything, what have you, or we have done something and it hasn't been, say it's kind of morally, it was not immoral, but it wasn't as moral as it could be, But anyway, he's saying, people, they're praying, please help us, but we actually created the situation, so it's going to be us that has to fix the situation. And he was saying, think about God, God would probably say, hey, y'all got yourselves into it, you're going to have to get yourselves out. And really, when you think about that, regardless of whatever entity or whatever it is, hey, we've been provided with everything that we could possibly need to do anything that we wanted to do as a species, as on this planet. So he's already done his help. He's done his thing, but we've, if you look around, kind of screwed it up a little bit, a whole lot actually. I think that's my opinion. I don't think it's to the point where it can't that there can't be anything corrected, or there's still the opportunity. We still have the opportunities to make things better. We still have the opportunities to rebuild, to fix our cultures and our societies so that we're not constantly tearing them down, and our environment as well. And think about it. If God was a parent, and if you're, and I know I use this God or whatever a lot, but the reason I do is because I think that regardless of who you are, like I said earlier, I think that most everybody looks towards or looks or thinks in terms that there is something greater than themselves. So if this thing that is greater than ourselves, is say it's a parent figure, or I don't want to say an authority figure or whatever, because we have free will. We can choose to do something or not choose to do something, and there are consequences that result from those actions or non-actions or inactions. So anyway, so you've got this higher, whatever it is, something greater than ourselves, and they said, here, have it all. Do what you want, how you want to do it, whatever. But don't come crying to me when you mess up and you think that you need my help to get out of it, because I've already given you everything that you need. I have provided everything that you need to work your way through whatever issues there are, whatever problems there are. You have it, and that's within us. That's within us. If you yourself might not be able to accomplish what needs to be done, but maybe you yourself, with the assistance, with the help of another person or another group or another country or what have you, on a global scale, whatever, we have what it takes to fix things, and always looking to something or someone to help us out of this. There's a lot of people that, E.T., come down and save us, whatever. Oh, Jesus, come down, please help us. Oh, God, please help, whatever it is, whatever. We have everything that we need, and it's not to diminish any reverence or anything that we would have for what is greater than ourselves, but we're children. We're basically children, and we hadn't learned to live together and provide together and to thrive together, to exist together. And I think a lot of that, the reason we haven't is because of this number stuff, okay? These things that represent, that we are convinced or somehow coerced into a mindset that we believe that all these have so much more value than ourselves and other human beings. And I don't think anything long term is going to change as long as we have that mindset. You know, as long as we feel that someone else is less valuable than ourselves, and people say, oh, well, the bum out there, the wino or whatever. Well, look at the root of the problem. Why is that bum out there? Why is he a wino? You know, why do people feel that they are discriminated against, or why do they feel like they have been, walked on, taken advantage of, or what have you? There is a root. There's a root of that problem. Okay, and the more that the media does not, and just society on a whole does not, show that there's an importance to all, to ourselves, individually and as groups and as countries and as, the planet, what have you, our environment. I don't think that we're going to make a lot of progress long term. Now, these big changes that I feel that are probably going to be coming around here pretty soon, well, it could be a good start. It could be like a fresh start. A reset on things, and for people to sit back, take a breath, and go, okay, let's look at this situation from a different perspective. Let's think about this situation from a different perspective. And because the perspective that most people have now, it's a dog eat dog world, and that is counterproductive to the way that we need to, in my opinion, the way that we need to start thinking to ensure that we have a decent future, and that we are building a decent future for our families. Okay, and you can say your immediate family, you can say your friends and your associates, that family, your countrymen, that family, the people, everybody on the planet, that family, because the way we've been going for the past 100 years is just absolutely insane. And I think that's kind of was the goal, is to drive everybody to insanity, and have us kill each other off or what have you. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say. I didn't mean to drag this out, but and I want a reminder, as I started this out with, at the 4th of November, I would give it a lot of thought. And if you're thinking about if people are out there thinking about starting to smash windows, start fires, shoot people, beat people up, whatever it is, I'd give it some thought and think long and hard about it, because I tell you what, the people, if they start doing that, it's not going to be pretty. And maybe that's what some people want. They want this trigger event, just to set it all off. I don't think that's the way it's going to work out. I think those people are going to be very, very surprised at the outcome of this. So that's all I wanted to say. Please do the best you can to live on virtual energy. Okay? Think about that, please. Y'all have a good one. Thank you.